What you see is not always what it seems. Behind the narcissist's facade of perfection lies an emotional void that consumes them, and if you're not careful, it can consume your life too. Are you ready to uncover the truth behind the mask? Narcissism, in its most intense form, reveals far more than a simple fascination with oneself. It reflects a profound disconnection between the individual and their inner world, as well as their ability to relate to others. Often, we see the narcissist as self-centered, focused on their image, and insatiable for attention and admiration. However, beneath that facade of self-sufficiency lies a void, an unhealed emotional wound that pulses deep within them. A narcissist is not someone who loves themselves excessively, but someone who has lost touch with their true self, building an emotional armor to survive in a world they perceive as threatening. That image of invulnerability is merely a defense, a shield against the reality of feeling inadequate and terrified of rejection. What they truly fear is not being exposed as grandiose, but being revealed in their deepest fragility and vulnerability. The perfection they project is a desperate attempt to compensate for a deeply rooted sense of inferiority. The constant need to be admired and control others' perceptions turns into an exhausting cycle that deepens their disconnection from their true identity. The more they strive to be seen as superior, the further they drift from who they truly are, trapping themselves in an emotional abyss. It's essential to understand that narcissism is not a sign of strength, but of deep fragility. The emotional rigidity they present hides a constant struggle to maintain an image they perceive as flawed. This inability to show vulnerability not only traps them, but also entangles those around them in toxic dynamics of emotional manipulation and mental exhaustion. Paradoxically, although the narcissist longs to be admired and loved, their inability to genuinely connect with others condemns them to emotional loneliness. Empathy, which could build bridges to authentic connection, is seen as a threat because it implies accepting their own vulnerability and letting go of total control over others' emotions. Reflecting on narcissism not only invites us to examine it as a problematic personality trait, but to explore our own defenses and insecurities. While the narcissist hides behind a mask of greatness to avoid the pain of rejection, true strength lies in embracing our imperfections and shared humanity. Narcissism also teaches us that self-love should not be based on an illusion of superiority, but on genuine acceptance of who we are. To truly love and be loved, we must first heal our wounds, confront our insecurities, and learn to be vulnerable. Only then can we build authentic relationships based on empathy and mutual respect. Living with a narcissist, or recognizing those traits in oneself, is an exhausting experience that goes far beyond discomfort. Relationships with a narcissist focus solely on their needs and perceptions, disregarding the feelings and boundaries of others. Every interaction becomes a stage where the narcissist's validation is the only thing that matters. The most painful part of being in a relationship with a narcissist is that it not only erodes the bond but also destroys the self-esteem of the other person. Initially, attention or affection may make one feel valued, but this sensation is temporary and superficial. In the long run, emotional manipulation and demands for admiration erode self-confidence, leaving a deep sense of inadequacy. One of the most devastating tools of narcissism is gaslighting, which distorts the other person's perception of reality. This process, which generates doubt about one's judgment, creates a spiral of emotional dependence. The victim begins to question everything, further weakening their self-confidence and sinking them into a cycle of insecurity. These relationships are not only emotionally draining but also hinder personal growth. The narcissist, in their need for control, does not allow the other person to grow or flourish authentically. Any display of independence or strength is seen as a threat that challenges the fragile balance of power in the relationship. The psychological impact of being in a relationship with a narcissist is devastating. The emotional needs of the other become invisible or irrelevant, creating a disconnect where vulnerability and empathy, the foundations of any healthy relationship, are completely absent. As we reflect on these dynamics, it is essential to remember that the narcissist is also a prisoner of their own internal narrative. Although they project control and superiority, their search for external validation is insatiable and empty, trapping them in an endless cycle of dissatisfaction and dysfunctional relationships. Recognizing these dynamics is the first step toward breaking free from their destructive influence. For those in a relationship with a narcissist, it is vital to remember that love should not be a constant struggle for validation, nor should it require sacrificing one's emotional well-being. Healthy love is based on mutual respect and allowing individual growth. Narcissism, ultimately, is a distortion of self-love. Instead of genuine self-acceptance, it is rooted in the fear of rejection and the construction of a facade of perfection. However, no one is condemned to remain trapped in this cycle. With self-awareness, empathy, and emotional work, it is possible to shed that mask and seek a more authentic and connected life. Narcissism teaches us a profound lesson: authentic relationships are not built on control or manipulation, but on vulnerability and genuine connection. By cultivating empathy and mutual respect, we can protect ourselves from narcissism and experience love in a deeper and more meaningful way. If you feel trapped in a relationship where your worth seems to depend on someone else's approval, it's time to take action. Don't let narcissism control your life. Reclaim your power, set your boundaries, and seek the support you deserve to heal. Take the first step toward a more authentic and liberated life today.